You're about to have a negotiation and you're worried. You think you need clever tricks and techniques. You fear you're in a weak position and might lose. Well, I'm going to release you from these worries, explain your real source of strength and the only trick you need. Worries about fancy tactics and losing stem from the assumption that negotiation is always a win-lose game, played along a single scale. Say you're negotiating over money, a price or wage rate perhaps. You might open the negotiation at a wildly optimistic extreme. Your best realistic outcome is further down the scale, and further still is the worst settlement you'd be prepared to accept. Meanwhile, the other side comes in with their wildly optimistic opening position at the other end of the scale. They also have best realistic and worst acceptable outcomes. The typical view of negotiations is that both sides haggle and trade, edging along the scale towards each other. If the two arrows overlap, a deal should be reached. Where it ends is down to the skill, or trickery, of the negotiators. If the two arrows don't overlap, then they can't agree and have to go back to the people they represent or walk away without a deal. This model is win-lose. Every gain by one side means a loss to the other. It's no wonder people get worried. But this whole model is wrong. Negotiations are never on a single scale. Even with a price, there are other variables like warranty, payment terms and credit. Even in wage bargaining, there are variables like overtime, benefits, flexibility and working conditions. The two arrows need to be drawn like this, at right angles, not opposed. Your needs are now along a vertical scale, the other party's needs are on a horizontal scale. The deal zone isn't a narrow range along a single line, it could be anywhere in this space. So let's explore it. At the top left, you could force your needs and not accommodate the other party's needs at all. For example, if you insist your children go to bed when they don't want to. At the bottom right, you might choose to yield to the other party, give up your needs and let them have theirs entirely. That's the right thing to do in many situations, such as when you let a team member tackle a problem their way. The two sides might end up in the middle with a compromise. You get some of your needs met, but not all, and the other side gets some of their needs met, but not all. It's not ideal, but sometimes the best that can be achieved. That leaves two more corners. At the bottom left is no deal. The two sides cannot reach an agreement and you walk away. How bad is that? If I'm selling a rare car that lots of people want to buy, I can easily walk away from one buyer and find another. If I'm the buyer and I really want a rare car, I need to know what others are for sale so I can walk away. You must have a clear view on what happens if you walk away without a deal. This is called your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. It's the standard against which you must judge any deal, and it's rarely as bad as you assume. Never settle for a deal that's worse than what happens if you walk away with no deal. That's your real source of power in a negotiation, your willingness to walk away. As soon as you declare a deal is must win, you weaken yourself. People who assume they have to find a deal settle for a poor one. Remembering that you can walk away gives you strength. Then there's collaboration, where both parties get everything they need. This is the win-win solution, and already you're thinking that it's a nice idea, but can't often happen in real life. It's true that these collaborative win-win solutions aren't often found, but that's because they aren't often looked for. See, what happens is that neither side think about their underlying needs. Each side comes up with an idea for one way of meeting those needs, then press for that solution. Often the two sides have assumed solutions that are not compatible, so they fail to find win-win. But if they peeled back their assumed solutions and got to underlying needs, they'd find other solutions, fully meeting all needs, which are compatible. So the only real negotiation trick is peeling back to underlying needs. Ask the other side, why is that necessary? Why does that matter to you? What's the underlying reason you're asking for that? Could that need be met in other ways? What else matters to you? You need to do the same with yourself. Ask yourself the same questions. Let go of your assumed solution and focus on your underlying needs. This can take time and practice, but the results are astonishing. The more variables you bring into a negotiation, the more chance of a win-win solution, because new variables offer new ways of meeting underlying needs. But don't discuss each variable separately. Bundle variables into packages and discuss them. Find bundles which contain variables that are easy for a party to give, yet valuable for the other party to get. Work together so the negotiation becomes a joint problem-solving exercise. So much better than trying to beat the other side with tricks.